Hi everybody, it's John back with another model inbox review. What we're looking at today is an M3A1 Stuart light tank. Now there are several models of the Stuart light tank, but there are definitely two distinctly different versions of the tank. And I think it's quite important to understand what the two versions are. The Stuart tank was made in an M3A1 variant, and it was also made in an M5A1 variant, and you can see the difference here in the frontal part of the hull, and the turret is actually slightly different as well, but the frontal part of the hull was much more built up at the front end and with a more sloped armoured upper glacis, as opposed to the M3, which had a slightly more acute upper glacis with a boxy front panel at the front where the driver sat. And the two different tanks are distinctly different, and they were given two distinctly different designation codes, M3A and M5A. Anyway, the model we're doing an inbox review on is the third in the series of Hasegawa Minibox kits. Minibox number 3. This is the light tank Stuart Mark 1 in 1/72nd scale. But I haven't got a Hasegawa release of it. I've actually got a company that's copied the Hasegawa sprue, but it is exactly the same as the Hasegawa sprue. It's a direct copy, but in a different company's release, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. But this is the third kit in the Hasegawa Minibox range. I'm actually building the second kit at the moment, the 155mm long tom gun, and it's a really nice kit, and I don't expect this to be any less nice either, because the sprue looks quite nice inside. So that's 1973 when the kit was first released as MB003. And then in 1973 the kit was released from Hasegawa Minicraft. Exactly the same kit inside the box, same artwork, it's exactly the same kit really, just had the Minicraft label on the box of the M3A1 light tank. Then in 1976 Hasegawa released what were called their Hales boxing range of the Minibox series, and these had the Hales logo on the front here, and they were built for the European and American market, with a sort of a light blue side panel here to the box, which was quite, I've found these quite nice. I remember when I was a child, I remember these style of boxings being on the shelves of the Minibox series. I never actually built a wide number of the Minibox kits, but I did build a couple of them. I built the Willys Jeep when I was a kid, and a couple of the trucks, the cargo truck, and I think the dumper truck, I think it was, which we'll get round to eventually. But that was 1976 when the Hales logo was impressed on the box there, and it was sold through their marketing. Then we go to 1980, and we've got this unusual company called Popeye. Now Popeye did an exact copy of the original sprue. It's probably a license-built copy of the original sprue, or maybe Hasegawa supplied the sprues for Popeye to pop into their boxes. And I think these kits were made for the Oriental market. I'm not sure what language that is on the top above that Mark 1 symbol there, but it's not Japanese, and I don't think it's Chinese. I don't recognise it as either or, but it's definitely an Oriental language there on the side. So that's a company called Popeye released this kit in 1980. And then you've got the kit that I've got an example of, and this is a company called Science Treasury, who released most of the Hasegawa kits in their range under the Science Treasury label, and they utilised exactly the same artwork but a new style of box, and the box shape was even different as well. It was quite a bit larger in height as well as width, but they were a bit more squarer, they weren't as elongated. That was a 1990 release from Science Treasury. And then in 1991 you've got the more modern release, and you can actually buy this kit on the shelves today in your model shop in this particular guise. It's marked as MB003, which is a direct it's MT3, which is a direct descendant of MB003, but they're now marked as MT3. But it's exactly the same kit. You can see inside there's a sprue, you can see there, and there's also an unusual little figurine there. Can you see that? We'll have a look at that in a minute. But that's actually a horse. So I think this particular kit was put together and set up on the sprue to be utilised on dioramas. We'll just show you an image here. This is the other variant of the M3 light tank that you can see. You can see there that you've got an acute upper glacis and then the flat panel there on the M3A one. This is actually the British variant, which was called the Honey. The Stuart was the American variant and the Honey was the British one. And you can see this one here is operating in the Western Desert in the British, typical British camo pattern with the in-theatre British markings there all over it. But that's an M3A1 Honey tank. We'll just pan the camera down to have a quick look at this kit because it is quite interesting. When I opened the box I did get a bit of a shock on this one because I wasn't expecting this at all, not in any way, shape or form. Let's try and get the stand to sort itself out because it's being a bit of a pain. There we go. But basically the box itself is about the same size as my hand. You can see that quite easily, no problem there whatsoever. On the side of the box you've got a load of mumbo jumbo in different Oriental languages. It's model kit 11. It doesn't state it's model kit 11, it states it's model kit 15. And then it states it's kit number 500, so I don't know what they're talking about, but it's a 72nd Sky US Army Mark 1 light tank. It's actually a Stuart tank, which is quite nice. And on this side panel here you've got other examples of the different kits that come in their range, and Science Treasury have released all of these. I have got every single Minibox series kit that is on the market now, and some of them are Science Treasury models. And they're exactly the same as the Hasegawa release. Just open the box and show you what's going on in here. We'll have a laugh at the instructions in a minute. We'll have a look at that in a minute as well. I'll just turn the lid upside down and pop some of this stuff into here so I can get it all back out in the correct order and show you what's going on there because it is quite interesting. You get a tube of glue with these Science Treasury kits. I don't know whether this glue is any good. I probably won't be using it. But you do get a tube of glue in these. This tube appears to be dried out, so yeah. You do get, and don't laugh, some stickers instead of decals, which is really interesting because the instruction leaflet has got a decal application plan for decals that don't even supply. These are actually stickers. You peel them off and then stick them on, although I won't be using any of those at all because, well, they're hideous, aren't they? The instruction leaflet is a carbon copy of the Hasegawa instruction leaflet in every way, shape or form. It's exactly the same, but they do give you some interesting tips there on what tools to use, like a paintbrush, and I think that's supposed to be a modelling knife, I think, but who knows. And then you get, and it's the same with the Hasegawa kits, you get the interpretation and translation into English of what they think the stuff is called in English, and sometimes it's really quite hilarious. Like section 1 and 2, you're installing the ordnance and turn plate. I would call that the turret and the gun. And then in section 2 you're installing the tyres. Well, tanks do have tyres, but they're not inflatable tyres. They are rubber stock tyres, but they only tend to go on the road wheels here. But you're not just installing the tyres here, you're installing the main chassis of the tank with the side panniers and the floor of the tank. And then in section 3 you're putting install the chain, I think that means track, and they're showing you here use heat source to link the tracks up. I tend to use staples for my tracks. And then you've got to install the cover, which is the upper body, with all the fittings on there. Explaining best to use a pair of tweezers for the small parts. And in section 5 you're marrying the tank up basically. Some side skirts there, the turret goes in place. You've got a tank commander who sits on the top of the turret. There's a machine gun that goes on the back of the turret. It's quite a detailed kit. And then in section 6 you've got what's called install horse and soldiery. And yes, this kit does come with a horse and a rider and a stand, which is quite interesting. And on the back you've got a colour code plan for the British variant of the Honey tank and a colour code plan for the M3 Stuart tank, neither of which you have decals for because you can't build, you don't get the decals, you get stickers in a Science Treasury kit. And there you can see it there, it's marked number 11, item number 5, and on the box it definitely says it's number 500. So yeah, the instructions are a little vague, but they are quite easy to follow. I don't think there'll be any problems following those instructions, but they are a little vague. The parts are interesting. You've got these vulcanized rubber tracks, which I used to be a big massive fan of these, but I actually prefer length and link now. I find length and link is a bit better than this, because these have a tendency of snapping when you pull them over the tracks of the tank, but I think they'll be okay, you know. I think they'll be alright. They're not too badly detailed either, they're not that bad really. Then we've got this sprue here which has a turret, top part of the turret. You've got all the road wheels, drive and idler sprockets. There's that machine gun that goes on the back of the turret. Some various fittings and storage bins, tools, and the main gun goes there. And then you've got all the suspension parts, which is interesting. Now this sprue is marked Science Treasury, but you've seen the video. You've seen the image of the Hasegawa mouldings on the last photograph of the Hasegawa release, and you can see that these are actually carbon copies of the Hasegawa sprue. Now what I'm guessing has happened is that Hasegawa have given them the rights to produce this kit, and they've definitely got their own jigs because they're marked Science Treasury, not Hasegawa. The plastic itself, I'm going to be honest with you, the plastic itself is not as good. Saying it's not as good is probably a bit harsh. It's not the same, it's a little softer. I think it'll be a bit softer to work with. But it just has that sort of not very crisp detail appearance about it. It just doesn't seem to be as crisp as the Hasegawa mouldings. But they are the Hasegawa mouldings. They're copies of the Hasegawa mouldings. So I don't know what's going on, but these parts just look a bit soft. The horse, as you can see there, he's not bad, is he? The detail on the body shell on that tank body shell isn't too bad. The underside's not bad either. It's quite nicely detailed. This kit is quite nice, and you've got some nice detail there on the side panels, the skirts. That's quite good too. I'm quite impressed with that. That's not bad. And then you've got the turret base, which is here, and you've got the commander, who's here, and this is the horse rider. Yeah, interesting. I think I'm going to have some fun building this thing up. It's going to be quite interesting. We'll just show you the image of the top of the box whilst I read through the gumph to close this video down. There's not a huge amount to go through, and I haven't really gone bananas on the different options and costs. I've basically housed it around 1/76 and 1/72 scale. There are a few, but not that many. The model we're doing an in-box review on is the Science Treasury American Car and Foundry Company M3A1 Stuart Mark I light tank. Its serial number is number 5, but the Hasegawa Minibox number is number 03, and its modern equivalent is MT3. The release date of the kit was originally 1990 of the Science Treasury version, but the Hasegawa original release was 1973, and the kit's moulded in 1/72nd scale. Now there are no decals supplied with this kit, just stickers, but the Hasegawa kit comes supplied with decals for 3 different US Army tanks, and some boxings give you a British Army tank serving in North Africa. There are 69 parts on 3 light sand coloured sprues and 2 vulcanised rubber tracks, totaling 71 parts in total. The kit measures 2 3/4 inches long by 1.5 inches wide by about 1 inch high on its tracks. The options and costs are quite interesting actually. In 1/76 scale for £15 to £21, Matchbox released an M3A1 Honey light tank. Also Minicast in 76 scale, sorry, not Minicast, Millicast, they produced a resin kit of a Stuart Mark I stroke M3 early with parts to build a hybrid diesel kit, and that retails for anything from 15 to 20 quid. Revell also reboxed the Matchbox model of the M3A1 Honey Unstuart light tank. No pricings available on the original boxings, but it also comes as an M3A1 Honey with an 8th Army set of troops, which is a Matchbox rebox kit for about £7 to £15. In 72nd scale, a Langer stroke Revell did an M3A1 Stuart light tank. Now, it's marked 1/72nd scale on the box, but I'm pretty sure it's the Matchbox repop for about, 1/76 scale. No pricing is available on that, but I have seen it occasionally on eBay, but I've never seen it sell. Hasegawa's version of this kit of the Stuart light tank retails for between £5 and £12. Mirage Hobby did an M3A1 Stuart stroke Honey and an M3A3 Stuart stroke Honey tank for about £12 to £15. Plastic Soldier did an M3A1 Honey in 3 tank sets. That comes with 3 tanks in the same box. Retails for about £16 to £20. And S Model of China produced an M3A3 Stuart tank. These retail for anything from £20 to £23. Now Hasegawa Hales and Minicraft Hasegawa obviously released the Hasegawa rebox kit of the Stuart light tank. No pricings available on those, but they're probably around about tenner. Popeye's Stuart light tank Hasegawa rebox kit retails for £5 to £10, as does the Science Treasury reboxed Hasegawa kit as well. Conclusions. Well, this is a Hasegawa copy kit, and the instructions are a little vague and not as clear as they should be, and the decals are really just stickers. Yeah. Not sure about the quality of the tracks either. The jury will have to be out until the time comes to fix the tracks into place. The plastic seems to be a bit softer than what you would normally get in a Hasegawa kit, but the detail looks the same, and Hasegawa, which is normally a little waxy anyway, and the figures are just the same as the guys found in Hasegawa boxes too, as well as the horse. Well, that was a bit unexpected. Wasn't expecting a horse to be in the box at all. I think this kit was designed to be used in dioramas, and that is now clear. Kits worthy of note are the Mirage Hobby model, which looks years ahead of anything else on the market. And if you're looking for a 72nd scale kit, a 76 scale kit, I would opt for the Matchbox stroke Revell repop, which I've got a version of as well. I've got one of those in my stash, a Matchbox model of it, and that looks pretty good as well. So anyway, I hope this video has been of use. It's surely going to be an interesting build for me. If you've got any queries, questions, just pop them in the comments and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for tuning in. Hope your projects are running really smooth, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye for now.